we're live.
Okay, welcome to the Parks and Recreation Board for Monday, May 20th. And we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on items that are not included in the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I actually have one.
Yes?
I was received our bylaws that we need to, that were approved by the commissioners and that we'll just need to sign tonight before we leave. So I need a chairman, vice chairman, and then myself to sign them before we leave the room.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Nice.
Bylaws approved. Great. No changes then. All right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting, April 29th.
I will move to approve the minutes from April 29th.
Second.
Second. Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Minutes approved for April 29th. I do not see the city council liaison here tonight, so we'll go ahead and, unless we have received anything in correspondence from the city.
No, and I'll be moving that off the agenda. You can just
Okay.
come under public comment from now on.
Okay.
He let me know he had something going on tonight.
Right. Okay, Connors Vault toilet options and recommendation to the commissioners. I received a text message that said we need to look at this group called AS Excavation, Kyle Altman. So I contacted him, I met with him last night. He had not heard that we were looking for excavation, and I gave him a copy of the specs. And he is working feverishly to try to get us a bid by tomorrow. And not committing anything, but he said excavation, basically one day, vault putting it in one day, putting the dirt and resetting, and then subcontracting the concrete work out to whatever sub he uses. So he's going to give us a very detailed estimate. He is licensed and bonded, and he lives right down here near the county property at the north end of town. So I would like to, we can discuss this one, but I would really like to push this off to, can we have a special meeting on this one at a later date? When we receive that bid, that we can then look at the bid. I know we've received one bid that we did not approve.
Yeah, Madam Chair, you certainly, as a board, you can call a special meeting at any time with 48 hours notice. I think the question that I still have as a staff member is the funding source for the work. The excavation work to be performed, the gravel that needs to be placed in the excavated pit, and then the concrete work. The Parks and Rec budget cannot sustain that. The Parks and Rec budget does not have enough to sustain that.
Sustain it?
Well, I'd like to even pay for it, sorry, to sustain all of these expenses.
Okay.
Did we ever get a reply back on, if we tell the outfit in Missoula, we can't afford this, we want to give this back. What can we get back? What are they going to give us back out of the money that we paid as a deposit? Have we heard anything on that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, can I respond?
Yes.
Yes, certainly. I have reached out to Missoula Concrete, the company that the Parks and Rec board put the down payment on for the vault toilet. The down payment was $10,160. That's half of the total. So the total for this toilet, not exclusive of excavation work, gravel, underlayment, and concrete, is $20,320. So Parks and Rec budget, Parks and Rec board voted to pay 50% down to hold the vault toilet, 10,160. I did reach out to Missoula Concrete, and they will refund 5,080 of our deposit, which means they will keep 5,080 of our deposit, which is a hefty amount when this is not a consistently funded board. This is not a line item. Parks and Rec is not a line item that the commission funds. So you are funded solely through subdivision when Parks and Recreation property is required. So not a lot of money coming into the board. So options that were given, Missoula Concrete will hang on to the vault toilet until 2025 for zero charge. Obviously, they're still keeping our 10,160. If we decide to say, never mind, we're not going to accept the toilet, they're keeping 5,080. So I was hopeful to have a conversation with them, or at least with my contact there, and find out if there was a way that they would oh so graciously give us all of our money back, because I did let her know that the reason that we could not take it this year is because we cannot afford to take it. We can't afford to dig the hole and the underlayment, and so I was really hopeful that there would be some grace given on that, but we haven't been able to have a conversation.
Okay, so our budget right now, notwithstanding that we already put this 10,000 down,
Correct.
is still 32,000.
Correct.
So we would owe another 10,160 on this one.
Correct.
That includes the delivery charge and placement. So that leaves us, what, 21? No, 19,000.
But then with the
So-
concrete costs and everything.
Hold on. So 19,000 then leaves, that's, I wouldn't want to spend that all the way down anyway, but that 19,000 then, if estimates come in that are lower than that, to include concrete or not concrete, or if we can get some of it pro bono, that's what we have to work with basically, is that 32 minus the 10, say 1,100, so, or 11,000. So we're looking at about 19 to 20,000 that we would have left.
Do we have
Okay.
that much left? Because I know we've spent quite a bit lately to include the Great Western. We don't know what that bill was for the master plan, for him to talk to us. Then I know we gave,
Well, did he charge us for just talking to us? For,
Yeah,
For basically his
at a,
time
at a
for
rate
that.
of approximately $250 an hour.
okay,
And then I'm not certain, to your point of the lighting, I don't know if that lighting bill that needed to be
the
paid, I don't,
1,500 light electric?
yeah, if that came out of the 32, or was that on top of?
Yeah,
So
you need
I-
to subtract that off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
what
I don't know what our actual
So we're
budget.
looking at best about 15,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
there was the lighting bill and Stoke.
Mhm.
Okay.
Donation to Stoke for 2,000 and Light Electric for 1,500. So
Correct.
yeah, take that out of that 32 because it's not showing as being
Right.
subtracted
Mhm.
from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Bill?
Okay, I would say, let's, give them their toilet back, take the shot of 5,000, because if you look at 5,000, the whole hell of a lot cheaper than what, the bids came in, what the Alger had, by putting the vault in, doing the concrete and like that. There's no way we got the money for it. I would say take our losses of that and just go, well, we learned a lesson there, because what are you gonna do with that toilet out there? Nobody's using the field. Why are we putting in all that money out there and nobody's using the field right now? You know, and that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's a pretty toilet, isn't it? Yeah, it sure is. For about 60 grand or 50 grand, but you take our lumps and
Okay.
the 5,000 out.
Okay,
And,
okay,
because-
noted.
Yeah, but
Noted, I got it. You want to turn it in, take our money back.
Question.
Yes.
If we were to wait until next year and still didn't have funds, would that number change, do you know? Would it still be 5,000, or would she say, well, now you've wasted another year of my time, now it's 7,500, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if
It doesn't cost us anything.
if it doesn't cost us anything to wait a year,
Try for some
I
grants.
just have a really hard time, when our budget is so small, I have a really hard time throwing away such a large portion on nothing. I don't feel that it's a very good use of taxpayer dollars. but we don't have the funds to proceed this year. So my vote would be, if the number doesn't change, let's wait till next year and reevaluate where we're at.
Or is there somewhere, the other side of it, we pay that, our balance at that 10,000, knock it down, but we take delivery of it? Is there a place somewhere in the county, maintenance department or somewhere where that can sit until we move forward with the master plan, and we have a toilet to put somewhere down the road? But if we can wait, that's the best bet, but.
Yeah, the only thing that I would prefer about waiting is just because they do set it.
Yes,
You
they
know,
do,
so-
they
so
do
the
have the
co-
crane to do all
so
that.
the
Yes, they have all the crane,
Yeah,
okay.
the cost for them to, then we wouldn't have to.
I mean, if they're, you're correct. And my vote then would be similar, would be, to Lacey's is, if they're not gonna charge us any extra, to just hold it for another year. Let's hold it for another year and let's see if we can find some grant.
But
Some
then
grant potential.
we're hamstrung
It
off
doesn't-
it, all the money that we got there right now, we can't do anything with because we're gonna hold it for another year and we're hamstrung on that, we can't use our money. That's ridiculous. That is totally ridiculous over something that,
Bill, it
Yes.
doesn't have to go at Connors Field.
Yeah.
This could go at Centerville when we get the master plan done for Centerville, because we had 2 vault toilets scheduled for Centerville. It does not have to go at Connors Field. But to sit there, I agree with you, to just, if we have the option to give it some time, and if they will hold it without any further penalties, then let's look at other options for the use of this toilet and the use of this money.
if you look at on ADA, off of the porta potties, they're not upraised to 6 inches. They have to follow federal regs. You look at the rent off of that versus if you're paying $50,000 to put this whole thing in with the concrete and all, look at how often those are gonna get used maybe 4 months out of a year. And you're spending all this out there for a pretty toilet, that's all of a sudden, what's it gonna serve? It isn't gonna serve anything other than somebody's ego that, oh yeah, we put a pretty toilet in out here. That's a total waste
Bill,
of money.
I realize
Yeah.
I'm not the chair, but I think that you need to, a little
I
respect
think
and
we're
decorum
good.
on the board would be.
It is respectful, but I'm gonna fight for my opinion.
That's fine,
If
but,
that
but,
isn't it,
but can
then
you,
all
but
of a
can you
sudden,
please
you
not
know.
talk about
But-
board members and egos?
But
Yeah,
here-
I mean,
but
the other
here's
part
what
of
we're
it is
looking at.
right now, okay, we're,
No.
right as a functioning board, we're non-functional, okay? If the commissioners would give us money to where we can, that was supposed to be a question that was asked, is if some way they can put, whether we got 5,000 or 10,000 that we can use into, like helping John Wiley on that. That was supposed to be a question that was answered, because right now, we're sitting on this money. Oh, we can't help anybody here because we're gonna tie it up here on this vault toilet. That's
We're
stupid.
not, we have $10,000 tied into this vault toilet right now.
And we can get
We're
5,000
gonna
back.
set aside, I'm looking at a vision. The vision of the Parks and Recreation and the plan that we did is to build viable parklands. You don't build viable parklands by requiring all the users to always bring in porta potties. That is not building viable parklands or parks.
Then you tell me
So-
where we're getting the money from.
so-
We're not getting the money.
Point of
anywhere.
order,
Bill,
Madam Chairman.
please
I
stop.
think we need to either
Please
shut
stop.
this meeting down or have some respect, Mr. Duty. Thank you.
Well, then,
Please stop.
that's fine with me then. That's ridiculous.
Please let the record show that Mr. Duty is exiting the meeting at 6:16 PM.
Yes.
We still,
Goodbye.
we
Thank
still
you.
have a
Thank
quorum,
you.
and we will continue business in an orderly fashion.
Thank you.
Is there a way we can take?
Let's pause this,
Okay.
please. Pause it.
You're live.
Okay, I'd like to return to item 6, which was Connors Vault toilet options and recommendation to the commissioners. At this time, we're going to go ahead and table this discussion. And with 2 caveats, one being waiting on a further bid, and the second one being that we would like to find out if the Missoula Concrete is going to penalize us if we have them hold this vault toilet for another year. Pending those 2 outcomes, then we'll decide on whether we can do a special meeting or if we can bring that to the board in June. Okay, let's go ahead with the Delger, Canton, Centerville property master plan options. And do we have any discussion on that one?
Madam Chair, do you mind if I give a little introduction on kind of why you have a copy of this information in front of you?
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
So each of you, Nicole Brown, Broadwater County Community Development Director, each of you have a copy of a recorded survey. It looks like Exhibit B in your packet.
Yes.
This is an actual recorded survey, so this is of record. What that means, I'm not an attorney. This likely would be a legal and binding document. So, in looking at this, you see that the Rod and Gun Club lease tract is identified as Tract A. Now, that does not mean it is a separate standalone tract. So I want to be very clear on that this is not a separate standalone tract. This is a lease tract. These are the boundaries of the lease tract as they have been surveyed by the Surveyors Commission to do this project, and I am unable to tell who that is just by looking at it, but I believe it was Schaber Surveying of Townsend, Montana, looking at the way that it's configured here. So you see here there's the safety zone, which is kind of this conical shape that kind of goes in a northeasterly direction. That is a zone that was mandated by NRA, the National Rifle Association. There's a smidgen of extra room given there, and by a smidgen I want to say 10 feet beyond what NRA recommends, so not a whole lot. There's also these property boundary lines. I have a copy here, I only have one, that shows it in red. This is your memorandum exhibit, so I'm sorry that's quite small,
Okay.
but if you look at your map, you can also see these lines outside of the safety zone. So that's still part of the Rod and Gun Club lease tract A. So what that means is the Rod and Gun Club has a lease with Broadwater County in effect. And I apologize, I did not bring the lease documents. I know this board has seen them previously. And those are the boundary lines of that lease. So this is our visual of what is actually leased by the Rod and Gun Club. So if you look at the southwestern corner of this property on your map, you'll see the existing ball field. That is Connors Field. To the east of that, it says, what does it say? I should have put my glasses on. I'm sorry. Future golf course expansion looks like 25.34 acres. 25.54 acres, excuse me. And then even east of that, even more, is the existing golf course. So with that being said, the Connors Field we know is in existence, right? We know Connors Field is there. We know the Rod and Gun Club, the trap range is there. We know that we have to respect the boundaries of the safety zone for obvious reasons. The golf course expansion, that is nothing that is set in stone. That's simply been an ongoing conversation and the desire of the golf course to, if they should ever have the funding source to expand, they would like to consider expanding to that location, which makes sense. It is directly adjacent to the existing golf course. The only boundaries that this board really has to adhere to at this point are the Rod and Gun Club lease tract A, because it is a lease. It's a document that was signed by the Rod and Gun Club and the County Commission chairperson at the time. So with all of that being said, I know that there was extensive work done by this board on some potential areas of ball field expansion, if you will, or additional ball field, not really expansion, additional ball field for this property. Because after this board's meeting with Great West Engineering, which was a working meeting, so it was not live streamed nor was it archived, but it was a working meeting, it was noticed as such, with Great West Engineering, Jerry Grabentz had asked this board to come up with some ideas of what do you want, right? So we're not just putting everything out there into the world and saying, Great West, give us a master plan, dealer's choice. So that's why all of this work was done, and I appreciate that, as all of the work that was also done on the Centerville property by this board previously. Which leads me to the agenda topic. So I'm sorry that was a lengthy explanation, but I just kind of wanted you to know why you had all of these documents in front of you of your choices for the master plan. In your packet, you also have a list of options. Parks and Recreation amended master plan proposal, excuse me. Given what we know now about the Rod and Gun Club lease, because I was not aware, I knew that the lease was in effect, excuse me, I was not aware of this survey being recorded. Otherwise, I would have provided it to you prior to the meeting with Great West Engineering. This came to light to me after that meeting with Great West and after this work on the ball field expansion had been done. So that's not to say that all of this work is for naught. Now we just have to respect the Rod and Gun Club lease. So, options in front of you. And I don't know if you'd like me to read them into the record, and for any the viewing public at home, I don't know if this option sheet is posted available online. I didn't look.
Okay.
It was not, I did not post it online. The options, no, I didn't post it online.
Okay.
So you can probably read them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to read these options into the record, and then I will be quiet and turn it back over to the board.
Okay.
If that's okay, Madam Chair? Okay. So Parks and Recreation amended master plan proposal. Option 1. Downsize the master plan to consider the Centerville property only. This will likely cause the Centerville plan to look a lot different than originally discussed and sketched by the Parks and Rec Board. This will cost less money for this smaller master plan. Option 2. Continue as is with Great West Engineering to complete the full master plan with the understanding that the Rod and Gun Club lease expires in 5 years and they will need to remove the trap range. Rod and Gun Club building and indoor shooting could stay, but trap range would have to go, which is already part of the current lease. The plan would be set as a guideline for the area, but is not a legally binding document, and the Commission in 2029 may choose to do something else. Option 3. Move forward with the full master plan, but utilize new property boundaries as they are available now with recorded Rod and Gun Club lease concessionaire agreement. Rod and Gun Club stays where they are, and new ball fields will fill in around the property boundaries. This may not allow for additional ideas or suggestions that may come from the public, like soccer fields, etc. And option 4, do a combination of option 1 and option 4, keep Rod and Gun Club where they are, and amend Centerville property sketch, as well as add a ball field or two as space allows on the Canton Delger property. No one has to move, no amendment of leases, and only an alteration of the Centerville sketch. So with all of that and all of this information that you have before you now, the agenda item as it is for you to discuss and maybe think about some options. You certainly do not have to make a decision tonight. It's on the agenda, available for you to make a decision, should you choose to do so. But options moving forward on the master plan. And
Okay.
I can communicate those to Jerry.
So, question, I'm assuming the, under option 20, or option 2, how it says the commission may choose, in 2029 to do something different, is that when this lease for the trap, is that when that expires?
That is my understanding,
Okay,
yes,
so
because
that's why the
It
date,
expires in
because,
5 more years.
okay. So
But
that's
they
the-
could
signed
renew
and-
it.
they could renew
They
it.
could renew it,
And
but
so, with keeping all of that in mind, the lease was signed, the lease agreement was signed in 2019. There is a commission election every 2 years. So that's not to say that we get new commissioners, a new commissioner in those positions every 2 years, but every 2 years there is a commission election. So as this is a commission election year, we will have another one prior to this 2029 date.
Has anybody talked to the Rod and Gun Club and actually seen what their plan is? Are they wanting to move, or I know there's been a lot of talk back and forth with the
Electrical and
electrical, and then
not wanting to, and then they were, and then they're not.
just to see if one of us. I mean, I don't mind calling, talk to them, and see what their long-term plan is. I mean, it's nothing in stone, but to see what their plan is, if they're already planning to move it, or if they're not, or like your idea earlier, can we rotate it? And does that open up more space for us? If they're
Right.
willing to do something like that.
Okay, well, let's take a look at, this was the one that was drawn up when we had the transfer of property from the BOR. because they had to have some type of a plan and development. So that was Centerville.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we weren't going to go with that one, and the one that we did plan with our previous board, was to be low maintenance and we had no water. And we do have electricity on one pole, and that's right at the intersection of Mill and Centerville.
Mm-hmm.
But that one shows 2 ball fields, soccer fields, and then even some leftover property. So I'm looking at option 1 and 4. The combination of option 1 and 4 is option 4. Is that pending whether the trap, see, if even if the trap swung, it then inhibits the golf course.
Yeah, it does.
Expansion. Well, somewhat.
Somewhat, but yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at that radius and right there it says 2 proposed ball fields on this leased track. It shows the expansion of the proposed ball fields of the 2, but if we were to take those proposed ball fields out completely and swing that, but neither here nor there on that, do we want to pursue, go back to our original plan, which was to pursue a smaller master plan just for Centerville at this time?
I really like this, because the things that we've heard most from the public that have attended our meetings are soccer field, football, and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
This would accommodate
All 3.
all of those. And it's something that we could do in a cheaper, as
Yeah.
stated, the master plan would be cheaper. It's
Drilling
there.
a well.
We don't have, I mean, I really like that idea.
See, the only difficulty on that would be, I don't know what the well depths are. I know they're very expensive right now to drill a well, but this could also accommodate the folks I've talked with, which were pickleball and tennis. They were really looking for some good pickleball and tennis courts. And that still allows us to do that on that land closer toward the trees and put in the half-acre dog park and the small Peace Pole meditation park in the corner under the trees. Giving it to the giving this design, this was the one that was actually with Schauber's first survey. And this one, I believe, was drawn up by Bob Rostrup, I think is who drew this one up for that. But what I'd like to do is maybe just talk about this one. The one that I drew up for our previous board came off of this, with the same parking delineations that he had on here, and then putting the playground in instead of, the soccer field and the ball fields and putting tennis courts and all. But if you'd like to take a copy of that one for the record, I will just make a copy of that one, Auburn, that'd be great.
The sizing of the baseball fields, is it enough for, because I'm not a baseball player, big enough for what they're looking for high school baseball? Or is that still more pop?
Was that 380 feet? That was on the drawings that Bill Moody had put together. This one shows 290 feet.
2 of them on here show, I'm probably gonna botch this because I'm also not a baseball player, but from home plate, this is 380 to the furthest point here. This one shows it as 400, and I don't know if that was done specifically to accommodate high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only thing I don't know, with something to research to find out, but I like that idea.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Right, and the distance of this, and he threw this together, but I want to say the width of this property was wider than 400 feet
On Centerville?
on Centerville. But we can, anyway,
I
let's
have it
go
on
ahead and
the
move on. We can
survey.
talk about that. But the bigger picture on this one is for a master plan proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey, what would you like to see out of these 4 options?
I like option 4.
Option 4. Mike?
I like option 4 also. Not without knowing what Rod and Gun Club wants to do. Option 4 right now is the best option.
Okay. Option 4 is what I would also like to go with.
And again, that
So-
doesn't put us, I mean, it says, you know, it's allowing us to put some fields at Canton and Delger if
Mhm.
we're not, you know, it doesn't say that they have to go here or there. It just
Correct.
is giving us
That option.
And
Mhm.
I think that's the important part is the option.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this would, I think if we pursue this, I think we could more quickly get fields built at Centerville to where it would benefit everyone, and then as it progresses, we can.
Okay. And that master plan proposal, if we downscale that to just the 10 acres, we may be surprised by the public and what their choices are. I can almost guarantee some ball fields will come out of that. And then we would end up having to look at, okay, once we get the master plan done, then you move forward with planning grants, not planning grants, excuse me, grants to fulfill the planning
Correct.
and the design. Okay, all right. So I'll entertain a motion that we move with the amended master plan proposal, option 4.
I will motion that we amend our master plan proposal to include option 4 for the Centerville property changes.
I'll second that.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that one? Okay. All right. Let it be noted for the record that the master plan proposal, option 4, for just the Centerville property only at this time. And then we'll have to double check on the ball field length and see if that, how they're situated.
Madam Chair, I on the survey, I was able to, I had to take a picture in order to zoom it in.
You could have
Well,
borrowed my
you know,
glasses.
Yes, I probably, that would have been smarter. 345.34 is the, maybe what you would say the depth of the Centerville property.
So we should have, it should be.
345.34. Well, with these ball fields, they go to 380.
But
So,
that, we're turning them sideways a little
Right.
bit, so it might,
Okay. You can turn them. I mean, you've got, yeah.
I think there's
Okay,
room in
we'll
there.
have to.
I
we'll
think
have
there's room.
Depending on the regulation and whether we can then fit parking still in that area or not. But, and then at that time, I would, I'd like to entertain the option of putting that ADA vault toilet, at least one permanent vault toilet
That's a good use of it.
in that park. So, because it's also part of the Trails Master Plan to have that loop trail come around across there as well, but, okay, so moving on, so that we're not here till 8 o'clock again. Yes,
You can ask for some public comment on your motion that I don't know if you voted on yet.
I think you only called for the vote. I don't think
Yeah.
you concluded.
We did not, yeah, we did not
I know it's
vote yet.
okay, yes. Any further discussion from the group?
Thank you. Al Christopherson, I live out at Silos. I don't really have a ball in the field here, so to speak. But it's, just from my perspective, I find it interesting, all the discussion to go with the parties that aren't here and that haven't been talked to about what their views and stuff are on the areas you're talking about. I think it might behoove you to have a work meeting with all those parties to just sit and talk about this stuff before you start getting into a lot of motions on stuff that you may come back to and find that it would have been useful to have had that. Maybe you've already tried that, I don't know. But just from a unknowledgeable perspective, I find it interesting that that much discussion would go on without having everybody at the table to have that discussion about what future plans are, what options are available, can people move things, can they not move things, sizes, dimension, all that kind of stuff. And I think a work meeting would be someplace you might be able to resolve those. And maybe you've had them, and so that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Okay. Just to let you all know, we've had discussions with the potential baseball folks. We've had discussions with the soccer. We've had discussions with the dog park. We had Linda McCullough in the dog park. The Falf Park. The entities, we actually, with Nicole's help, took a group and went out and walked Centerville property for the playgrounds, with some parents, with also the interested parties in the pickleball courts, the tennis courts. The master plan will bring those out in the public hearings, and they will have the contact list to talk with. If I'm understanding the master plan process, they go and talk with these interest groups as well. I think for me, we've been around this horn so many times for so many years, and I'd like to see something done on this 10 acres. And I respect your input, Al. Over the years, and even more recently, John Bliley and Linda McCullough and the soccer group, I can't even remember her name, when they came in and talked about it. Especially losing their soccer field to the skate park in the city. So my recommendation would be that we move forward with a master plan for this small piece of property and see what comes out of the public hearings, see what comes out of the design and or the requests of the community. Because we may be surprised. There may be groups out there that we have no idea that who's doing what or what their requests are. So, and I may have been off base in as far as putting, basketball. I never really heard much from the basketball groups because they use the gym. But we all know that the school is getting overburdened with a lot of these groups that want to use the gyms and all. So if we could move forward, we've got the discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of moving forward with the master plan for Centerville property only, say aye.
Aye.
And by unanimous vote, we'll move forward with the master plan amendment to just include Centerville Mill Road property at this time. Do I have any other new business before the group, before the board? Hearing none. Do I have any comments from the floor? Any further comments from the floor? Yes, Ms. Brown.
Do I count as
Yes,
a
you
comment
do.
from the floor? So I want to expand on what Al had stated there, and I know this board has spoken about it as well, so I just wanted to continue that conversation a bit. Through the master plan process, and in this board's conversation with Jerry Grabenz, who is going to be our contact person at Great West Engineering, working on the master plan, the board will absolutely be meeting with what I'm referring to as special interest groups, baseball, soccer, golf, rod and gun club, through the master plan process. Pickleball, thank you. Through the master plan process. And we will be having public meetings to invite those folks in and get their input on the master plan. So this master plan, Great West Engineering had requested that the Parks and Rec Board give something, not just nothing, which in a sense would be everything. So that's why there was a conceptual drawing put together. That does not at all mean that anything is set in stone. That absolutely this board, and I will ensure it, you have my word as a staff member, to make sure that the process is followed to include those special interest groups in the public process when in creating the master plan. So I know that you'd already stated that, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure that that's very clear to the public. This board absolutely will be working with those groups to find the appropriate location and desires of what these groups are wanting to accomplish.
Okay, and nothing says we can't provide Mr. Grabanks with several different visions
Yep.
of a plan, or even if he were to present it to the public as well. I mean, you do that even as an architect. You're going to give the customer several different options to look at and say, what do you think? Where do you want to go? Considering, again, we can provide him with the contact list that we have already had established relationships with and as key players in this for the Centerville property. Okay, any other further comments from the floor? Okay. Hearing none, our next meeting will be scheduled Monday, June 17th at 6 p.m. at the Flynn Building here. And at this time, I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.